Anyway, for our final story here, here's something interesting now. With the pandemic that's going on, people are moving from one location to another, and typically, people in the province tends to move to the city because it's more populated and there's more opportunity for jobs for many people, especially for young adults. Now, in Japan, they're having a big problem in terms of having empty houses. As much as 8 million houses are empty. No one's occupying them in rural Japan. So local government are trying to find ways to lure them back, and they're offering as low as $500 to for them to come back. But I know that's going to be a long-term solution because it goes way deep in terms of why are people moving away, and where are those people going, and in terms of their population, it's an aging population. So meaning, as more people age, there's no young group of or new set of people replacing them. Then there'll be lesser people in their country. And according to the insider.com, they mentioned, what was it, yeah, they mentioned that millions of vacant house in the country are being given away for practically for free. Now they're calling this Akia, or unoccupied homes. So the Japanese government is stating that they're trying to entice would-be homeowners with financial incentives like free properties and sizable renovation subsidies, right? But the problem is that they don't have enough people there to begin with. The fact that the majority of their population is considered old, fewer younger generations who take up the mantle. So not having a family, having kids, it's not their priority. So you do the math. Eventually, you will run out of people in, say a decade or 5 decades from now. And I'm assuming, based on the statistics here, that their population is already going down over the years, and they're trying to convince their local citizens to procreate, get married, have more kids, and so forth. But does not seem to work here. Anyway, so according to the Japan Housing and Land Survey, which conducts the study every 5 years, they mentioned that they have a record high of as much as 8 million point 49 houses, or Akia, way back in 2018. So meaning, having this dilemma is, it's not a small issue. It's a very big problem that they need to tackle head on. And some have suggested that maybe they need to open up their immigration in terms of accepting more migrants to carry the burden. And typically for any nations that needs more people, immigration is always the best solution, since you have the infrastructure, the government policy that's enticing to many people abroad. Then inviting them in would be tremendous. But obviously, Japan is a very homogeneous country, so they tend to prefer their own race, rather than, if you can see how big of a percentage is their uh, f- foreign residents living in Japan here. And according to the reports, let's see here. Yeah, the report mentions that 13%, or almost 14%, of Japan's 62.4 million houses are unoccupied. So that's a staggering amount of unoccupied houses. And question is, you need to understand what's the root cause here. And there were other locations in particular. You have prefectures in Wakayama, Tokushima, Kagoshima, and Kochi all have recorded home vacancies of more than 18%. So you could just imagine, is it people moving to the city, or there are just fewer and fewer people as the years go by? And asking people to buy extra houses, it's which is, I won't say cheap, but still expensive if you're living in the city. And unless the family grows, then that's the only time that they would buy additional houses for, let's say, a child is living in the province. And one of the main problems as well is enticing young people to stay in the rural areas. Obviously, it's not as exciting as living in the city, in Tokyo or even in Osaka here. Actually, the town of Okutama in western Tokyo is already having this burden of overaging and vacant buildings and trying to give it away for free. So you could just imagine the urgency here. But obviously, if you don't have the infrastructure, if people are leaving, so fewer and fewer people would be incentivized to come back and live in those houses. And if it continues with this trend, and it's only going to get worse. So no amount of cash offering here is going to draw any people from one location just moving it from one place. You need additional influx of people, whether through increased birth rate or through immigrations here, right? So question here is it only an isolated issue in Japan here? And I think there's also other common issues in other nations as well. You have cities and towns across in the United States offering people thousands of dollars with the same issue here. And there are also mentions in Europe, southern village of Sinkefrondi, where they're selling homes for just $1, $1 euro, €1, not $1, or approximately a little over $1. So to increase the town's population, again, if you want to incentivize people, you know, it's not enough that you offer them money, because if money was the only issue, they would have stayed long enough, long before, and try to stake it out. But you know, obviously, people have different priorities at the present. And you also have another city in Italy called Locana. They mentioned that they offered the same deal, but sweeten it by giving remote workers who have children a cash incentive of 9,000 euros just to move in and fill its deserted homes. And obviously, deserted homes does not connote excitement of having your own houses, but you know, it's a big issue. And how the government, you know, tries to address it, you know, has a long-term strategy involved. And you know, offering money, to technically bribing your citizens, will not be enough. And you know, as many nations will see, whether in Canada, where immigration is still you know, they're inviting a lot of immigrants to move there, even the United States, and even in parts of Australia, or even New Zealand, where there's very little to no people living in those countries. So they're trying to invite people to move to their country by offering those services. And those houses will sell like hotcakes if you were able to do that. No need to entice your local citizens to move back, or to move somewhere else where, you know, there's no one occupying those houses here.